Hello, everybody. We are going to be starting the Oily Pet class. I have Allie Phillips here with me. This is Justine Calderwood. And Allie, I just want to do a quick introduction and then she's going to get started with class. I met Allie actually this last July, just a month ago at the Young Living Convention at the Aroma Share event. And she was basically had a booth with her little booklet called The Oily Pet. And it caught my eye because I am a Young Living member, and I have quite a few members that ask me questions about using essential oils with their pets, what's safe, what to be cautious about, and quite honestly, I don't know those answers. So I picked up several copies of her booklet, and as I was talking to Allie, I just asked her, I said, would you be willing to come and teach to my team? And she said, absolutely. She was very gracious. So I'm going to turn it over to Allie. She can tell you her background much better than I can. So you can take it away, Allie, and let's get started.
All right. Well, thank you, Justine. It was so awesome meeting you at Aroma Share. That was kind of crazy, all the people there. So very serendipitously connected. So my name is Allie Phillips. I actually live in Lansing, Michigan, and I am an animal protection attorney. I spent many years as a frontline criminal prosecutor. So I was a trial prosecutor for many years and have basically spent my entire 25 years as an attorney in the field of criminal prosecution, specializing in animal abuse cases. So I've spent the last 15 years teaching prosecutors, law enforcement, animal protection professionals. Spent 12 years in Washington, D.C., working nationally on these issues, and even founded the National Center for Prosecution of Animal Abuse. And everything that I do in animals, including my healing business called Manifest Harmony, where I teach energy healing classes because I'm certified in different energy healing modalities, master teacher. And my voice is funny. I just 22-hour certification teaching it. I sound a little right now, but everything that I do is in my of animals work animals together, because I have seen over the past 5 years share of animals that have been abused, neglected. I have 20 some years in and out of shelter them, volunteering, working there, and dealing with pets, because it's like every person that has a dog variety. So there's problems on, and so when I joined Young Living 6 years ago, I joined solely to use oils with. I'm going to use oils with me. Didn't think I need them. Well, I learned very quickly I needed them, but I joined solely to use them with animals. And so everything that I have done over the last 6.5 years has been to learn from the best, to learn from veterinarians who actually collaborate with Young Living, to do my own work. I mean, I have worked with thousands of pets, not only my pet clients, but shelter pets, and have done my own, testing in a way. So I'm constantly testing out new things and finding new ways to use the oils. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview, but what I really want to do is recommend, like Justine said, grab a copy of the Oily Pet. You can just go to manifestedharmony.com. You're going to see it right on the home page. And as a special gift to all of you, because Justine is such an awesome person, I actually have different buying options. You can certainly buy one booklet. It's 24 pages. You're going to see the lawyer in me because the last page is citations. But there's an option to buy 5 at a time and you get a lesser price, or you can buy 10 and you get an even lesser price. I'm going to throw in extras just for all of you who are watching this. So if you buy 5, I'm going to give you an extra book. You're going to go home with 6. If you buy 10, I'm going to give you 2 more. So some way you have to let me know that you saw this. I'm going to have to remember if there's like a note feature, but if there's not, you can just message me through the Manifested Harmony Facebook page or email me. But I want to offer that to all of you because this is going to give you the confidence. I wrote this because there's a lot of information on social media that's scary, it's inaccurate, it's confusing, and people believe it. And so I'm telling you right now, please never, ever, ever Google essential oils and pets because it's going to freak you out. Even the research studies that are out there about essential oils with pets, we do not know what brand they used. And we all know, for those of us who are in Young Living, we know that 90% of the essential oils on the market have been adulterated. So of course you cannot use those with pets. So becoming proficient, whether you're just working with your own pet or if you do have pet clients, this is really going to help. And it's brand neutral. I never even mentioned Young Living in this, but anybody in Young Living is going to know exactly what oils I'm talking about, which I'm going to get to that in a little bit about how do you determine which oils are safe. And I give you a test in this book. So I just wanted to go through, because I want to make room for questions. I just kind of wanted to go through the top 5 hot button questions that I get almost every day. Okay. First question is, why do I only recommend Young Living? Because I spent 15 years using all sorts of oils. I mean, whatever I could find in the store, the cheaper, the better. I used them. They never worked. Thank goodness I never used them with my pets or my pet clients. And so I only recommend Young Living. And I give you the test in this book of what you need to look for in a pet safe oil. And I'm going to give you a clue. It is never about whether an individual oil is safe. Oh. It's whether the brand is safe. And so here's a couple of tips. If you go onto Young Living's website and in the search feature, type the word animal or pet, you're going to see tons of stuff. You're going to see the animal sense line. You're going to see blogs. You're going to see a veterinary advisory council. You're going to see that for 4 years, they held a national animals and oils conference. They're not doing it this year, but it's spun off and some diamonds are now taking it over, which we just had one in June in Wisconsin. There's another one coming up in October, I believe, in Las Vegas. Name me another essential oil company that does that. They don't. You can go to any other essential oil company and in this search bar, put in the word pet or animal and you will find nothing. And that's the real test. Does the company actually promote their products for pets? Because if they don't, you don't use those oils. It's like you would never use Metamucil or Geritol on a newborn baby because those products were intended for people later in life. They're not intended for babies. This is where the common sense when it comes to essential oils has completely flown out the window. People think that they can take the information that we use the oils with here in Young Living and that they can apply them to other brands, and they cannot. And it's because of our seed to seal process. There is absolutely truth in that seed to seal process, and that's what makes it different. And Young Living puts their name behind it because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, they've got stuff about animals on their website. They have put the backing of the entire company behind creating oils that are safe for pets. So I encourage you.
Can I say something on that? I think that was the biggest thing when I talked to, I think it was your assistant I was talking to at the convention, and that's what she said too, you know, and that's what really got me was like, yeah, you're right, you know, that Young Living is the only company that advocates for animals, and the pet advisory, what you call it, committee, you know, that I feel like that's huge.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, I know other companies are going to start coming on board with this stuff, but they're 25 years behind schedule. So when it really comes to this, we can only talk about Young Living. I will not. Like if somebody contacts me and says, well, Allie, I'm using XYZ oil brand and their label is therapeutic grade. And I'm like, you cannot take the information in the Oily Pet or anything that I say and transfer it. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And that's why I put the test in the book, because it gives you all the different things that you got to check off. And if you cannot check off all of those boxes, then anything I talk about cannot be used with pets. So that is a real big thing. And so the second question that I get a lot is, what oils are safe to use with pets? It is never, ever, ever about the individual oil. It's not. It's whether the brand is safe. And so people are really stunned to hear that. And they're like, well, I heard that you can't use citrus oils around cats. I find that interesting because my cats drink Nincturette every day. Nincturette is packed with citrus oils. I had a cat live to almost 20. She was 2 months shy of 20. And I know that she lived as long as she did in 3 years of kidney failure because of that product. I know that she did. Mm-hmm. So when people say, oh, you can't use citrus oils with cats, really? I do it every day. I diffuse them, they drink them, and they're healthy because I get their liver values tested. And I'm going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
I never hesitate in what oils to use with pets at all. Even some Young Living people disagree and say you can't use citrus oils with pets. Me and the veterinarians I work with 100% disagree. These oils are safe. Now, you may use them in smaller amounts, you may use them in different ways, but they're safe. My rule of thumb is if an oil smells really strong, like peppermint, really strong, you use less of it. You use it in smaller quantities. You know, instead of putting 6 drops in the diffuser, maybe you put 2. So that's how I adjust. But there's some oils that you're never, ever going to need to use. People get really worried about tea tree, especially with cats. And this is what I tell them about tea tree. You may never have to use it because anything that's skin related, go to the animal sense ointment. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then I say, look at the ingredients. Because tea tree is in the animal sense ointment. And tea tree was one of the first products that Gary Young created. That ointment has been around for more than 2 decades. If cats were dropping dead left and right, do you think that product would still be on the market? And do you think Young Living would still actually have its doors open? No. So so it's like pointing out those things that our tea tree is safe. And it really freaks out veterinarians. And it's like, this is why you have to understand seed to seal. That is the difference. That's why our oils are safe. Now, the third question I get, because I do a lot of work with cats, I've kind of become the cat specialist in Young Living, and actually getting brought in to teach again for them next month because they're bringing a mini convention here to Michigan, and I'm going to teach about oils and pets. So I really specialize in cats, and everyone is very concerned because cats do not excrete essential oils or medication or toxins the way that dogs do, or even the way that we do. And it's because of this, it's called the cytochrome P450 liver metabolism pathway. All right, so what does that mean? Everything that goes through our body at some point has to go through the liver. The cats have a decreased ability during the excretion process where they eliminate it. It's not gone. I've heard a lot of veterinarians say cats don't even have this pathway. Well, if cats didn't have the pathway, then you'd never be able to give them medication. And all the toxins that are in homes, like people who still clean with bleach and Pine Sol and all this other stuff, those cats would drop dead on sight. So the cats do have the pathway. I started digging into the research, and they actually excrete differently. So they don't excrete out the liver like we do and like dogs do. They're actually finding that they excrete a lot like plants. So I found that very interesting. So when it comes to oils in cats or oils in any pet, you're going to find all these sad stories floating around on social media. And I really caution you to be careful about jumping in with a response, especially about, well, you know, you should have used Young Living and this wouldn't have happened. I see that a lot. That doesn't help anybody. It actually makes that person feel really bad because they don't know what they don't know. And it just makes us look bad. All we can do is educate and help, and people got to make their own choices. But here's when I see those posts, because about 1,000 people are going to tag me in them every time they float around. Here's what I come back and say. We do not know the health of the pet. That pet could have been on death's door. We don't know the age of the pet. We don't know what toxins are in the home. We don't know what brand of oils were used. We don't know how the oils were used. We don't know any of this. I mean, if somebody took a full bottle of lemon oil and dumped it on a kitten, that's a lot. That's like the equivalent of us ingesting a gallon of lemon oil. At some point, our liver is going to say, whoa. So this is all common sense. We seem to do it when it comes to this stuff. And people think that they can take our information from Young Living and go and buy a store purchased or Amazon purchased adulterated essential oil and use it like we do. And they can't. This is why we have to be vocal. This is why we have to educate. Anything that I put on my Facebook page, Manifested Harmony, or my Instagram page, which is called Allie Phillips Pet Oils, you can share it. Share it. And this is why I wrote the Oily Pet, so that you can actually grab a bunch of copies and give it to people. You can give it to them to educate them. So, all right, the fourth question that I often get is, my pet is really sick, like has a really bad diagnosis and, could be near the end of their life. What oils do I use? Well, we know we can't diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease with the oils. But I always come back because it's never, ever just about oils. Oils are in the toolbox along with a lot of other tools. If you were to put together a bookshelf, you're not just going to show up with a hammer. You're going to have a hammer and a screw. And if you're like me, you're going to have some super glue. You're going to have all these different tools. So I start out with any pet. If there's any physical issue, my first question is, what are you feeding them? It always starts with food. And if they are feeding hard food, junky stuff that you buy at Target or Walmart, right there, no. Get them off of hard food. No animal was created to eat hard food. It's not natural in the environment. No dog is ever going to go out into the woods and find a kibble. No cat is ever going to find a piece of meow mix out in the wild. They need soft, wet food. So that's the first thing I talk to them about, that if there is poor food quality, the oils are only going to do so much and they're probably not going to do anything. If there are candles being burned or toxic cleaners being used or plug-ins, we got to talk about that before we ever talk about oils, because they are just literally poisoning their pet. If there's unending chaos in the home, I was in a home yesterday where the mom and dad had all 4 kids come home. They're all in their 30s, and they brought all the kids that they had, so all the grandkids. There's about 13 people living in this 2-story house. I went to do an oil class for them because they're so stressed out. And there is an elderly little dog that is so overwhelmed by the chaos that I spent most of my time focused on him. I passed around the oils for everybody else, and I focused on him. And I'm like, this dog is he's going to have a heart attack. He is so stressed out. If there is unending loud chaos in a home, that's got to be addressed first. And I go through a whole litany of things in the book to look at. And then we can start talking oils.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's something emotional, oh yeah, you can like immediately start with the oils. And all the way that we use the oils for our emotional health, we can use them the same way for pets. Okay. And then the last question I get is, how do I use the oils? In the book, I walk you through. You can use oils with pets the way we use them. You can use them aromatically. You can use them topically. You can have them ingest them. But my number one rule is you always get consent from them. They have to approve of it, because I don't think you would like it. And I'm going to give you an extreme example. Think of an essential oil brand where you've smelled their oils and you're like, oh, no way. That does not smell. That lemon smells like Lemon Pledge. That does not smell good. Now imagine somebody came and just sticks it right in your face without your consent.
Mm.
That's what we do not do with pets. So real quick, I don't know if you can see Rudy and Stella. Stella's
Yes.
sleeping. I'm going to show you how I get their consent. Hey, Stella. Stella, Rudy. I'm about a foot away.
Okay.
Look at Rudy. He's coming right over. Stella. Their noses are going. I know you can't see it.
Mm.
But when a pet comes up, like I go halfway, they got to come the other half. When they do that, they just gave consent, and oh, by the way, they just smelled it, and maybe that's all they need.
Yeah.
Topically, I go through the dilution rate in the book, but real quick, for cats, you're going to use about 8 drops of a carrier oil to 1 drop of an essential oil. Or you can just put a drop in and really rub it into your hands, and then you can massage it down their spine, and they're just getting a little. With dogs over 25 pounds, you can put it on straight. 1 drop. That's all you need. And only down the spine. Never around the face. And I do not put oils on the paw pads at all.
That's good to know.
Unless there is a problem, and then you can.
Okay.
So anyway, so that's kind of just a quick intro, and you're going to get a whole lot more if you want to grab the Oily Pet. But that just kind of gives you like where I come from, kind of a different perspective on the oils. And I really look to whether the company actually promotes their oils for pets.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your little checklist, because that was another thing that I kind of highlighted was, like the checklist of things to look for. And one was if they have essential oils or essential oils products created for pets. And also if they host animal essential oil specific events. If they have veterinaries that advise and support the company. And, there's other checklists in their little booklet, but I found that extremely helpful. And I like how you did say it's not really about the individual oils. It's about, the brand and the company, that stands behind it. So.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I am still an attorney, with a healing wellness business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I think. This is how I look to this stuff. And if the company is not going to have my back, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And, we can certainly do something wrong with the oils, but if you just use the oils in a safe, responsible way, then everything's fine. I've never had one issue in 6.5 years, and I've worked with thousands of animals. I've never had one issue.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I know
so what questions do we have?
Okay. Does anybody that's present have a question first? Otherwise, I'll go through the list that I have. People gave me some questions ahead of time.
Okay. And I'll try to be short. My goal was to keep this at 30 minutes, because sometimes if people see a webinar is more than 30 minutes, they're just like, I don't have time, and they don't even watch it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you use them primarily for emotional support and emotional balance. So some of these are more physical things. So I did have somebody ask, like, do you recommend, or can you talk about any like supplements that might help support an aging dog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I hear aging dog, I usually think of
you know, they need support with their bones and their muscles and their ligaments. Our ingestible products are actually not approved for ingesting with animals just because of FDA guidelines. However, my presentation has been through Young Living Conduct enough that they allow me to talk about what I do. So what I do is I use the products just like I do. So Agile's really, really good, especially for big dogs as they get older. That is an amazing product. Sulfurzyme and BLM is really good, but make sure there's no xylitol in it. I always forget which one has xylitol. Xylitol is toxic to dogs. But you can use them just like we do, and you just look at the dose on the back and, okay, this is a 75-pound dog, so I'm going to do half of what an adult dose is.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's based on my experience and the veterinarians that I work with, and we have done that safely with no issues whatsoever.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see. How about what would you I know you have like a list in your little booklet, and it's a great it's a great little list. Respiratory support for 2 young cats, so like ages 2 and 3. Can you talk about that?
Yes, so the interesting thing is we can't talk about supporting a body system unless we ingest it. So like all the vitality oils, we can talk about body support all you want, respiratory support, all of that. Okay. So when it comes to respiratory,
Oh, hold on a second. I muted you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and somebody else went off of mute, and I'm getting a whole lot of feedback. There we go. All right. So like I don't even call it respiratory support because we would never ingest something necessarily to support our respiratory system. But what is often needed is clean air, like fresh air that's truly clean, so that when you're breathing it in, it's healthy for the lungs. So RC, Raven, anything with eucalyptus in it. Thieves is really good. Like those are the basic ones that are amazing. Okay. Amazing for cats to breathe in. And I would do a little amount, and you never lock them in a room with a diffuser. Let them come and go. If they do happen to be locked in a room, I'd run it for only like 20, 30 minutes. And that's it. They have to be able to get away from it. But small amounts in the diffuser will work really well.
Okay, great. Let me see here. How about, I want to be compliant. So, you can, I know, like we all know, we can't diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent. So I'm really trying to be very general. How about heart support for a small dog, like 7-pound dog? Any oils that we can use? That's again a physical thing.
Yeah, so first of all, I always start with food. So food really needs to be looked at. Other chemicals in the home need to be removed. Even carpets can off gas and can cause heart issues and respiratory issues. Helichrysum is a really great oil. Frankincense is a really great oil. I have not used CardioGize with any pets. I haven't really had the need to, but that's something that could certainly be looked at. I always put the power and the control in the hands of the parent. And it's like, okay, this is your furry child. You need to look at the ingredients. You need to do the research. Don't ever take what I say blindly or what anybody says blindly. Do your own research, and if you're comfortable giving CardioGize, do it. You can do it. But Helichrysum is amazing. It depends on what the heart issue is. If it's muscular, you're going to want to use marjoram. But Helichrysum equals healing. That is a very, very powerful oil to use.
Okay. Yeah, so like a heart murmur would be more like muscular, right? It's a valve.
Yeah, so you could think about adding some marjoram to that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see what else I have on my list here. Oh, we talked about this briefly before we started recording, but can you just, somebody had asked me, if you felt comfortable or what your thoughts were about the CBD pet oil that Young Living has.
I have not used it because I haven't had a need to use it. Just in my personal experience with CBD, it's another tool. So you're just adding another tool to the toolbox. And the more tools we have, the better, wellness we're going to have. Same thing with pets. But when I look into, and I've done a lot of research on how CBD actually works, and it's the terpenes that actually trigger what's called the entourage effect to actually create the healing effect. The highest terpene is beta-caryophyllene. And when I look at the levels of beta-caryophyllene in our CBD, which is, I know it's amazing, Copaiba has higher beta-caryophyllene. So I just have not had a need to use CBD with pets. So that's why I'm not talking about it. I'm just starting to use CBD with myself, and have found some benefit. But I'll tell you, I'm always going to go to the oils first because we have so many more options available to us, and they absolutely do work.
Okay. All right. One last thing, and I think we need to probably wrap it up. So, so for calming and say pets that don't like to be separated from you, that don't like you to leave the house, that kind of stuff. Lavender, I'm assuming, is a really good oil. Are there other ones that you could quickly mention?
Yes, and and that sort of reaction can be one of two things, and it's going to be two different oils. So if the reaction is they're afraid, like they're afraid to be alone, and if they just had confidence and courage, they would feel better with you gone, you go to Valor.
Okay.
If it is they are just a nervous Nelly and everything around them, like just being alone, they hear every sound in the house, the postman comes and they go bananas, they're just highly reactive to energy around them, that's peace and calming.
Okay.
And now it's even the new Seedlings Calm Oil that came out a couple of weeks ago. That's what I tested on that dog last night with really good success. So that's two different reaction pathways. So it's just figuring out which one it is, but those are the two that I go to. And the third one that can be looked at is the acceptance oil. That dog just needs to accept that you have to leave the house.
Yeah.
I use it with shelter pets so that they can accept that they are in shelter and still be their best self.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I know I have a gal that wants to watch the replay that works with our local animal shelter. And so a couple of people asked that question actually. So that's all I have for questions.
Okay.
Is there anything that we didn't cover that you feel like we really need to get in before we finish up class here?
No, I mean, that's the short version. So again, if there's a way that if you order the 5-pack or the 10-pack and you can somehow let me know that you saw this, I will toss in extra copies. Because this is amazing to hand out at classes. It's amazing to hand out to people who are really resistant. That's why I made it brand neutral, so that they don't think that you're just trying to push, a company on them. They're going to be more receptive to reading it. So just let me know. And then I have a load of classes on my YouTube page. And my YouTube page is under Manifested Harmony. I've got over 100 essential oil classes on there. So they're public. You can watch them. You can learn a lot more.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you extending, the extra copies for our team and really taking the time to do this. I am so grateful. This has been extremely helpful.
Yes. Well, and Rudy and Stella have been sleeping because they smelled some Copaiba, and that's very calming to them. They love Copaiba. So you'll see them all over social media. They're oily cats. So so thank you so much. I'm so glad that this was helpful.
Yeah, we'll check you out. Facebook, Manifested Harmony, and on Instagram you said Allie Phillips Pet Oils.
Yeah, Allie Phillips Pet Oils.
So I'm going to start following you as well. So yeah, check that out. And thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting.
Okay.